What's good, you guys? Daniel Cruz here, back with another episode of Cook with Cruz. 2 weeks in a row now, back at it. Today I'm actually going to be making a beat using my latest sample pack, Surge. I collabed with a guitarist on this pack, so we got some pretty crazy vibes on here. Shout out to CJ Washington for working with me on the pack. So yeah, I'm going to be breaking down a beat I made using one of the samples in the pack. The Surge pack has been out for maybe a few weeks now, so if you haven't heard about it yet from my channel, I'm gonna have all the links for you in the description. I do have a free download for this pack, so there's actually 16 total samples in the pack, and for the free download I'm giving away 10 out of the 16. So essentially you're getting a whole free pack that's available to you if you want to check it out. And then of course, if you do want to support me and CJ on the pack, I have the full version available as well as the stems if needed. All of that is going to be in the description for you to check out, so be sure to check down below. I should also have a card in the top right of the video as well, pop up sometime to a link to the pack as well. So that's what we're doing today. I'm gonna be using one of the samples. I'll actually break down the sample and then as well as the beat I made with it. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So starting off, real quick, I'm just gonna break down the sample for you. The sample is called Clouds in the actual pack. And here is the actual project file for the sample when I made it. So let me go ahead and play the guitar CJ had sent me that started it all off. So there goes the dry guitar that he sent me. So coming into the mixer here, what I did starting off with the guitar, just reverb and some EQ here. I also added a compressor onto the guitar, most of the guitars in the pack, just to keep it at an even level. Otherwise, the guitar isn't going to sound too much different here. So starting from the beginning of the sample, I pulled a vocal sample from, I believe this is Arcade, and put it in the background of the guitar. As far as effects for our sample there on the vocals, just reverb and some EQ, bandpass. So here's how it comes in. So moving on to the next section of the sample, let's start with this pad lead pattern here. Omnisphere OB6 state variable envelope pad. I believe this is part of the hardware library in Omnisphere. This is just some real basic harmonizing notes to go with the guitar and everything. And for effects on there, reverb, actually a lot of it. I maxed out the reverb here, which gave it this kind of real airy feel. Next, we have this pattern here, which is the exact same notes as we just used in the pad. This time we're using ambient space piano in Omnisphere. So this is just gonna layer up with the pad that we just played. So here's what we got all together for that section. And now for the next section, I'm gonna have some piano here. Just gonna be playing out the chords that the guitar is arpeggiating here. So So there goes our piano, and of course we're in Keyscape. What are the preset that I use? LA Custom C7 Mellow. Moving on to our next section, the last thing I'm going to add for the sample is a bass. So for our bass, one of my favorites to use, the Scarby Rickenbacker bass. This is the plucked preset, I believe, or palm muted, I mean. And we're just going to play our root notes here, nothing too crazy. Also, not to mention, for this part of the sample, I include a section of the guitar CJ played that was in the beginning of what he sent me. So we got some more variation in the guitar here. So here's what it all sounds like together now. So that wraps up how the sample was made. Now we're gonna jump into the actual beat where I use the sample. So let's open that project now. Okay, so now we're in the project file for the beat where I use the sample. So like any other sample, I'm gonna treat it no differently. So I'll probably do a little more changes to it. So for the guitar part, I did pitch it up 100 cents. I believe we were in E minor on the original, so we're going to go up to F minor. So you'll hear the guitar is a little more pitched up. Not to mention, I did speed it up a little bit as well. It was at 140, now it's at 146. So here's what that sounds like now for this specific beat. And for the rest of the instruments that you saw me break down, no different. Everything's pitched up, sped up. So as we go into where the beat's gonna drop, essentially this is the hook right here. I'm gonna play the instruments out for you so you can kind of get the ear for what the sample now sounds like. So really with the sample we had made, all we really need to do is just add some drums. So we're gonna go ahead and start off with the drums now. So let's start off with the clap. I did layer a couple together. I think we got a clap and a snare here. Our closed hat. Open hat. We have a shaker. And a snare fill here. And then here we go right here. Here's our 808. Our kick to go with it. Here's another variation of our closed hat, which I'll kind of show later in the beat. A nice crash. Not to mention, going into the playlist here, I do have somewhat of like a closed hat loop here. So there goes all the drums for the beat. I'll kind of break down now how I arranged everything. So when the beat first drops in the beginning, this is what our drums are going to sound like. And for the next 4 bars after that, this is where I bring in the closed hat. So that's gonna be pretty much what I consider to be the hook of the beat. I'll bring in all the guitars and instruments now so you can hear all together what we're working with. So from here on out, we're just gonna structure the beat out. We'll go ahead and jump into the first part of the verse. This is where that closed tap variation I mentioned before, it kind of just slows the beat down a little bit. So here's what it sounds like moving into the verse. And then for the next section, that's when we can kind of speed up a bit with the closed taps. Those 4 bars are going to repeat, and then we're going to jump into the pre-hook. So here's going to be our pre-hook right here. This part of the guitar, this is where CJ had that variation going, so it's going to sound a little more full. Our bass comes in, and of course our pad and piano harmonization notes are going to come in right here. So this part's going to sound pretty emptied out, especially as far as the drums go, and then we're going to drop again for the hook. So there goes the end of the verse, the pre-hook, whatever you want to use it for. Then we're just going to rinse and repeat back into the hook. Notice how I didn't include the piano I played in the original sample. I think that's important to keep in mind when making beats. You don't want to overdo the instrumentation and all that. You have to leave room for the artist there. However, my kind of philosophy when I make samples, I'm never afraid to kind of add too much instruments into a sample and then kind of just break them up into pieces, because someone else could take this sample and like that piano and use it and make a completely different beat and it sound really dope. So I like to give the producers that use the samples a lot of tools and ideas to work with when they make a beat from the sample, especially if you got the stems. You're gonna have access to all the instruments. So in most of the samples I use, I'm always taking out some of the instruments that are in the full sample, because again, I want that openness. But like I said, if I'm making a sample, I'm never afraid to go crazy and, you know, add different sections and different instruments that other people can work with. So, but anyways, that's just my thought process. Let me run it back now so you can kind of hear the second hook and then rinse and repeat. So that right there is going to wrap up the beat I made using the sample from the Surge sample pack. That's out now. Make sure you go download it, check it out. So download link will be in the description of this video. Purchase links will be there as well if you want to help support me so I can keep making these types of sample packs. Big shout out to all you guys that purchased and downloaded it already. I really appreciate it. But let me know in the comments what you guys think of the beat, what you guys think of the sample or the pack if you have it already. I really appreciate your feedback, and leave a thumbs up for me on the video. I would really appreciate it. That definitely helps me out with this series here and helps me keep it going. So leave a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed this. Also, keep feeding me with suggestions or certain beats on my channel you want to see me break down. I'm gonna start tackling those week after week. So hit me up in the comments or comment on that video that you want to see broken down. But anyways, that is all for me for today. I will see you guys next Sunday. Peace.